going to be today talking to you guys about this thing called the basic motor syndrome. So basic motor syndrome essentially just means any sort of problem which is a basic problem on the motor, and syndromes where can be referring to problem. So these are going to be basic motor problems. So basic problems we're going to be having with our motor nerves. And here we're going to be having monoparesis, monoplegia, and paresis basically means weakness. So if I have weakness in one part of my body, on the one half of my body, it will be called hemiparesis. And plagia means no function, no function. The same thing is going to be here, weakness and no function for monoparesis. I want to be talking about the hemiparesis because this is going to be the foundation, and no function. I want to talk about this. So let's just say this is a human body. Over here we're going to be over here what we have is a really nice diagram of our basic. Yes, so over here we have a really basic diagram of our human body. So if I draw a line over here, and if I shade this part, and this is going to be the part which is either going to be weak or either this is going to be non-functioning. So just to give you a simple example, you can imagine your hands. Your right hand over here becomes plagia or paresis, God forbid, and then you're going to have weakness in moving the hands. So you can't really contract it that well. And then over here, this is your normal hand. So you can move it, rotate it, contract it, flex it, extend it. It's going to be perfect. But over here, you can't really do that much function, and that's going to be the main problem. The main thing I really want to highlight, if one thing you guys can take home is of hemiparesis and hemiplegia, is the fact that this is going to be a central region, whereas over here the monoparesis, monoplegia is going to be central and peripheral region. So central and peripheral origin. So when we're going to be having the central region means that it's going to be originating from the cortex. That's on the only definition. So it means there's a region from the cortex, so your brain, so cortical region, or we can have over here a subcortical region. So cortical region. So cortical obviously means your brain. So let's just draw a brain over here, and then your subcortical means your brain stem. So your pons, your medulla over here would be referring to your brain stem. So anything underneath that, your peripheral nerves, all that spinal cord, all the quadra equina would be your your peripheral nervous system. So your PNS. So that's something I really want to highlight for you guys. So central region, and this is going to be due to the fact that we're going to be having some sort of a contralateral motor. It's going to be a central region, and it usually occurs in the contralateral hemispheres lesion. An example for that could be our internal capsule. I'll explain that in detail. Just give me a second. And that's going to be because the corticospinal tract, that's like one of the main tracts, corticospinal tract, it crosses the midline before the medulla and spinal cord. So before the medulla and spinal cord. Allow me to explain that. If we go to a separate diagram over here, I'll just draw the cortex over here. Our cortex really nicely right over here really quickly. Let's go pons, and let's go medulla. Spinal cord will be here. Medulla, pons. So pons over here. Our medulla over here, and then we're going to be having some other different types of stuff over here, which is going to be this is going to be a cortex. I'll draw my internal capsule as an X over here. So let's just say corticospinal tract comes from let's just say this is going to be our right, and this is going to be the left, and it's going to be coming down. It goes to your posterior limb of your internal capsule, comes into the 3/5 of the crux. And then it comes to your pons. Pons is fine, but medulla, here's where the medulla pyramids are. We have two pyramids here. This is where the action occurs. It occurs decussation. That's where all the money is at. And then when it comes down here, and then when it comes to our what do you call it? Our spinal cord, it then can go to your muscle. So this is going to be upper motor neuron. This can be your upper motor neuron, and this over here would be our lower motor neuron. And so basically, if we have a problem on our left side right over here, then the manifestation would be that our muscle on the right side will not be functioning. So let's just say this is the muscle of my right hand. But if I have a problem on my left side of the brain, so let's just say left side of the brain, then my muscles here won't work. So if I have a problem here, it's going to be opposite side. if the lesion, that is say this is the internal capsule, occurs before the midline, before the medulla. So the key over here I would like to highlight for you guys is medulla. Let's just go back to hemiparesis and try to conclude that. So that's going to be the motor response. So motor response, corticospinal tract, it crosses the midline, and anything that when it crosses the midline after the pyramids, it can then lead to a lesion. Sensory, we have a very interesting thing called hemihypesthesia. Hemi means half. Hypesthesia means that very less sensation of less sensation, so less sensation on one side. I want to mention, I'm going to put the one with many underlines. So that means, first of all, this corticospinal tract which I drew here is invalid, because why? This is descending usually refers to motor. Ascending, it will refer to sensory. So anything that is going to be coming, let's just say your skin is over here, it comes to your spinal cord, for example, spinothalamic. Spinothalamic is for pain and for two things. So pain and temperature. So I don't know the exact pathway of spinal thalamic tract, but obviously I know it comes to the thalamus and then goes to your cortex. So let's just say if there's a problem over here, and I think also the spinal thalamic tract, it decussates. So if there's a problem on the left side of the brain, you will not feel on the right side, or if the opposite, if you have a problem on the right side, you will not feel anything on the left side. So we talked about two things now of hemiparesis. We spoke that there's going to be a cortical region. We spoke that there's going to be motor problems, and we have sensory problems. The last thing I want to be mentioning is very, very important, because it's a very good symptom that you guys might find, is aphasia. So aphasia over here, aphasia over here, it will refer to any sort of problem which is that you cannot speak or understand. So I'll go to the separate screen. So aphasia is very commonly confused with the dysarthria and aphasia. Aphasia means your brain cannot not speak, but your muscles are fine. Your lips, your tongue, your vocal cords are completely fine. The complete opposite, so I'll write opposite over here in caps, because it's very important that your brain speaks. Like inside, the guy knows what to speak, but your muscles, your nerves innervating your tongue, your lips, your vocal cords are not functioning. Okay, this was central region, hemiparesis. So hemiparesis, like I said, the main difference, the one thing I want you guys to take home is that hemiparesis is only a central region, whereas the monoparesis, it's central and it's peripheral. So we have two regions of this disease, and obviously this problem is going to only be one quadrant. So right over here, so your head, neck, your limbs. I want to speak a little bit about the central region, what is going to be occurring here. So it's obviously going to be of central origin, and it's going to be caused by a lesion that is going to be occurring in your contralateral motor cortex. So like we spoke about it, that if the lesion is going to be occurring on your left side, then the manifestation will be on your right muscle. So contralateral motor region and the contralateral, right here, motor cortex. The second thing I would like to add is that it can be of the subcortical white matter. So the subcortical, the white matter. So your subcortical white matter. So what do I mean over here? Basically, subcortical means anything that is going to be of your brainstem. So if you go back over here, our brainstem that's going to be there. So these are going to be your, for example, corticonuclear tracts, or these can be your, for example, your I wouldn't say corticonuclear. I would really take that back. But I would say to remember your subcortical tracts, I use the mnemonic ROV. ROV is going to be rubrospinal, reticulospinal, spinal, olivospinal, vestibulospinal. So these are going to be your four main tracts over here. Peripheral region. Peripheral region, basically, it means that there's going to be a peripheral nerve where only muscles are gonna be innervated by this nerve. So yeah, so basically the peripheral nerve is going to be referring to three main things I'll be speaking about over here. 1, 2, and then 3. Oops. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. I'll speak about three main things for peripheral nerve, and that'll be a wrap up for today's topic. So peripheral nerve, so peripheral nerves is gonna be when the muscles that is gonna be innervated. So let's say a nerve is gonna be innervating this muscle is gonna be affected. So that's the main thing that I want to highlight for you guys. So the peripheral nerve is going to be affected. The plexus, so many of these nerves originate from a plexus. The plexus, they are basically combined versions, and they kind of go towards a certain, they're not combined, but they have connections between one and the other. So when they get damaged, this could lead to a problem. And then your ventral root. So your ventral root, if you go to a spinal cord over here, not a spinal cord, I would say a transection over here. If you go to a spinal cord transection over here, we can see that there's going to be spinal cord here. We have this over here. We have a central spinal canal going over here. We have our gray matter. Our gray matter is going here, and our dorsal root ganglion is going here. It's going to be connecting with our ventral root here. So ventral root is obviously our sensory flow is coming in. The dorsal root is also going to be the, I think also sensory. I'm not too sure. I need to double check this. I think ventral might be motor. Yeah, so any sort of problems over here, ventral I think would be the motor and dorsal would be your sensory. Yes, any problem in your ventral, which is going to our muscles, like our muscle of our finger, we have muscles in our finger as well, that can really lead to a problem. So ventral root, and the way that we kind of this kind of lesion is going to be done is to a myotome. Myotome is going to be any sort of it's going to be like a diagram of our body, and this type of myotome is going to be like, for example, if we are to draw a very nice picture of a human being over here, and let's just say this is his body, and then over here what happens is that different types of get different myotomes. So for example, the thumb I think gets something C5. I need to double check this, I won't say this, but I know that the belly button gets like T10, and these are going to be your myotomes. It's going to be like a diagram just explaining to you guys how which parts of which body gets this. So different fingers get different nerves, different bicep gets I think C5 or C4, I need to double check this. Triceps gets something else, and very important because a group of muscles is going to be innervated by one anterior root. So to just recap for you guys, I wanted to just mention that these are basic motor syndrome. These are very basic syndromes. Hemiparesis, hemiplegia, monoparesis, monoplegia. Hemiparesis is when we get half, monoparesis is 1/4. Main difference is this central region affects motor, sensory, and aphasia. Over here we have central and peripheral region, and over here we have contra. We have our corticus, subcortical, and in our peripheral we have our peripheral nerves, plexuses, and ventral root. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hope to see you guys next time.